You know, to be the first of anything is a big burden. Yeah, like I said, the first man in the moon, the first person to discover peanut butter, the first person to put peanut butter in a sandwich. But this guy, handsome as his day is long, and he was for many, he will be known as the first Cassadine. Unfortunately, the very handsome and very talented André Landzaat, again according to Soap Opera Digest, the first Cassadine on GH has died at the age of 81. Now, he was the original member of the Cassadine family GH, again passing away in mid September, the week of September 22nd. Born in 44 in the Netherlands, he fell in love with acting at an early age and studied his craft in Paris and New York. At the Actor Studio, he trained alongside Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. After moving to LA in the 70s, he appeared on classic TV shows such as Family, Laverne and Shirley, and A $6 Million Man. However, when he showed up on GH as Tony Cassadine in the midst of the Ice Princess saga with John Colicos and Tayo Pengelis, it was epic. Now, Tony was introduced as part of the show's story, the Ice Princess saga, and of course, the character died in dramatic fashion when he accidentally froze to death on his family's island. For his memorable turn as Tony, Landzaat won an 81 Soapy Award, the precursor to the Soap Opera Digest Awards for Favorite Villain. Now, within the plot, the good son, the bad son, and the bad Cassadine. What happened? A certain member of the member of the family of the Cassadines fell in love with a very luminous actress. We'll get into this in a second. Now, Tony, who used the alias Tony Castle upon arriving in Port Charles, was romantically linked to Leslie Wepper and Alexandra Quartermaine, Edward's niece. Now, Edward had kayfabe plugged her for several days before she appeared. Some people thought she was going to be an ingenue with Luke Spencer, but it was kind of a jolt that she went to the Cassadine. Again, he was the first member of the Cassadine family to appear in the show, following his brothers Mikkos and Victor, played by Pengelis, who then executive producer Gloria Monty remembered from his audition for Tony, and Mikkos' wife Helena. Mikkos' son Stavros was introduced in 83. The Cassadines were eventually revived in 96 with the arrivals of Stefana, Mikkos and Helena's son, Nicholas, Stavros' son by Laura Spencer, and Alexis Davis, Mikkos' daughter by Mistress Kristen. The Notorious family later expanded to include Alexis' daughters, Sam, Christina, and Molly, Nicholas' sons, Spencer and Ace, Valentine, Victor, and Helena's biological son, and Valentine's daughter, Charlotte. Now, after wrapping up his Frozen tour on GH, where Miss Quartermaine and him walked into the cold storage area, he continued to work both in the U.S. and in Europe, and became a prolific acting instructor as well. In 2021, after several decades in California, where he resided in Malibu with partner Ed Lesseman, also an actor, he relocated back to the Netherlands. Now, Landzaat had suffered from health problems in his later years, among them heart issues and a stroke. But again, his European style of acting did the character quite well in the show. Now, he was born in The Hague on April 7, 1944, the son of Frederica Landzaat. At an early age, he emigrated to France, settling in Paris, where he studied acting with Yves Fauret. After studying with Fauret, he began his screen career in 1967, appearing in the TV series When Freedom Came from Heaven, which after his career began, he then emigrated to the States, settled in New York, but again, he studied under Strasbourg. Now, the guest starring roles, including, like I mentioned, $6 Million Man, Family, Laverne and Shirley, All That Glitters, and Yellow Rose, or Yellow Rose of Texas. Now, Tony Cassadine, a little bit of history of the character, because it can be a little bit confusing how he died. Now, the situation, you have to look very quickly how he died. Now, it's even hard. Now, part of the Cassadine family, again, he played Tony Castle. He and Alexander were frozen to death in 1981 when they unknowingly walked into Mikkos Cassadine's ice chamber. It sounds stupid, but it worked. They were saying about getting off the island or finding out more of what's going on. Alexandra was always very inquisitive, but curiosity in this case killed the cat. Now, Alexandra Quartermaine, the role was originated in 1980 by Rennie Anderson. Again, she was supposed to be a major part of the show. She departed from Series 81 when the character was killed off. Upon the departure of Jane Elliott and resident villainess Tracy, the producers began crafting a new character to take Tracy's place. In mid-November, the series introduced Renee as Edward's snake-in-the-grass niece. Marianne Cooper of the News and Courier described the character and the actors as beautiful and sophisticated. Her schemes are immediately met with opposition with the introduction of WSB agent Robert Scorpio. So without her, there would be no Scorpio in the show. Again, she made her last appearance on the series on September 1881 in the last days of the Ice Princess right before the wedding. Now again, what really stands out, Alex's arrival is met by enthusiasm from Uncle Edward when her cousin Alan and his wife Monica question her motives. Edward is so happy to see Alex that he comes out of retirement and becomes an investor with her on her secret project, manufacturing and distributing synthetic diamonds. When Alex hires Luke Spencer to track down her competition, the Cassadine family, Luke is hesitant to take the job, believing Alex is trying to seduce him. Luke eventually tracks down the Cassadines, who are operating under the surname Castle. Prior to arrival in Port Charles, she steals the world's largest uncut diamond, the Ice Princess, paints it black, and ships it into Port Charles. However, the diamond is lost in transit, forcing Luke, Robert, Alex, and Tony Cassadine to go after it. Tony starts to romance Alex, and they eventually become engaged. Originally cahoots with scientist James Duval to get the formula, Alexandria accidentally kills him with the Ice Princess in order to get it away from him and get onto the Cassadine yacht with Tony. The couple teams up with his brothers Mikkos and Victor in an effort to take over the world. Now in September 81, Alex along with several other guests are invited onto the private cruise ship, Titan, where they travel to Mikkos Island, off of Venezuela, no doubt. During dinner, Mikkos unveils his plan to hold the entire world to ransom, using the priceless diamond to power his weather machine. The big conversation with Luke, I'm doing this to save the world. Luke says, if you can convince me this is true, I will follow you any place. Now on the Titan and later on the island, she resumes her rivalry with Tiffany Hill, an actress Tony had dumped Alexandra for, and was since become involved with Victor, and would later become involved with Robert. Mikkos starts by targeting Port Charles first, sending the city in a blizzard in the middle of summer. Alexandra is horrified by this and convinced Tony to help her stop his uncontrollably insane brother, and Mikkos eventually sees him frozen in his ice chamber, and he had no intention to kill him, but he just walked in, literally. They walked into, sudden death. And that's a good way to kill off the characters, because you can kill off two characters in the same stone. So again, André was a good actor, a very, very smooth kind of method actor for the soaps. But the thing is, he was outshined by the other actors in the plot, including Theo Pagelis. Some people believed he should have been Tony, but like I said, you can always say, and his husband would probably say the same thing in the funeral, he was the first Cassadine, and some people believe the most underappreciated, because he's the one that set the foundation for everything that came after. So without his strong acting, the Cassadines wouldn't be as, not say feared and respected, but as recognized in the show. This is from 1981 to present day. So he must have been doing something right. 44 years, we're still talking about him. So my condolences to his friends and family and followers. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here, we're at General Hustle Podcast. Let us know what to like, comment, subscribe, or share. Bye.